Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm starting here. Link to put this out. By the way, you see up there top right screen, there's a Russian, apparently some kind of rebellion or a coup over there against Putin. So things are getting heated up. All right, but anyway, Link to had tweeted this out about Circle on, what's today's date? I don't know today's date. I think it's the 23rd. But anyway, I think it was yesterday. 24th. Okay, so 2 days ago, link to, actually, you don't know it, but I've got my wife and my 10-year-old in the room. I don't normally do videos with them in the room, but I think they're pretty weirded out by the whole thing, the idea that I can do it while they're in the room because they don't see it very often. And my wife does not listen to my shows, I don't think. Have you heard of one show? Yeah. One show, okay. Every once in a while. Okay. All right, so Link to had put this out about Circle. It's showing the market cap of the USD coin, API services, 12 plus, 150 plus countries with 100% USD reserves. So the question is, why is Link to putting this out? Well, a little birdie told me, whispered in my ear, that Circle Private Equity is going to be on the Link to platform, who is one of my sponsors. Links in the top of the description. It's going to be on the Link to platform. A birdie told me that this week. That's going to be a good get because I think Circle's here to stay. And here's, by the way, Danielle Dixon, who's CEO of Stellar, says, starting today, Coinbase now fully supports Circle's USDC via the Stellar network. Millions of customers, both institutional and retail, can now access a global digital dollar. USDC on Stellar now officially supported by Coinbase. Now, think about this, folks. It gives you an all the world's a stage feeling because in the midst of all this Coinbase controversy, we get this. And that's not all we get. We get the announcement that BlackRock's trying to come in and do a Bitcoin ETF, okay? Folks, Gary Gensler is owned by Wall Street, okay? That's, if anything's clear, that's clear. So BlackRock owns the world pretty much, and so don't think for a second that Gary has any choice or decision-making power when it comes to whether or not BlackRock or Goldman or JP Morgan do a Bitcoin ETF. If they want it, they're going to get it. Now, we don't know what kind of games are being played right now. We just know that there are games because these people, what Gary is doing has nothing to do with anything other than handing all this off to his Wall Street buddies. And maybe they're ready. Maybe that's all it is. I meant to look into Gary's calendar, but I can tell you without looking, Gary and the SEC meet with BlackRock and Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, all the time, okay? Because I've been through that calendar several times. And I wanted to show you because of the announcement of BlackRock coming in or trying to come in, Bitcoin shot up in price. And Ethereum shot up in price. XRP's even gone up a little bit in price. But look at that on the year. XRP 36% under an SEC lawsuit. And then Bitcoin and Ethereum are now leading the way on the year, but they're not underneath a lawsuit. So it's amazing where XRP is considering. Now, just in, Mark Yusko from Morgan Creek Capital, who used to be Anthony Pompliano's partner. We don't know if he still is. And also is just like Anthony Pompliano in that he just doesn't understand XRP. He just can't get his mind around it. This Duke graduate, as I recall, just can't seem to get his mind around XRP. All of you do. He just doesn't quite understand it, similar to Mike Novogratz. And they're all in the same investments, in the same club. Go figure. More on that later. Now, here's the guys on CNBC, and they're just totally baffled by all this. While you watch this, I have one question, and that is, do you really believe that these guys on CNBC don't know exactly what's going on?
overall ETF maven here. We have seen a spate of new Bitcoin ETF offerings recently, including from BlackRock. Even though everybody knows the SEC and Gary Gensler is completely hostile to the idea, and everybody said, well, they're going to say no to a Bitcoin ETF, just like they said no to everybody else. But I'm wondering why now? What does BlackRock think they're going to get out of this effort?
You can't get away from your favorite subject here, can you?
People ask me about it, and I don't have an easy answer for it. I always think I'm missing something here.
I think you're right. I think your sniffer
you think
usually
I'm missing
is
something.
No. I think you're onto something. I think your sniffer is always really pretty good, Bob. If BlackRock all of a sudden has filed for a Bitcoin ETF that's not futures based, it's spot Bitcoin,
right.
Okay? And Gensler said, no way, that's not going to happen. But at the same time, they're bringing together some pretty good partners from a custody standpoint. They've got Bank of New York Mellon. They've got Coinbase.
Right.
They've got an agreement, a surveillance.
Now, think about that for a minute. In the middle of all this Coinbase stuff, BlackRock's talking about involving Coinbase in this?
NASDAQ to help with the security aspect of it. So they're trying to show the SEC that they're putting all the safety.
Oh, yeah. Like, I love how they're presenting this. Like, they just have to convince Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is a word that starts with a B. My son, the 10-year-old, would call it the B word. Okay. He is Wall Street's B word. Okay. So don't think for 2 seconds that Gary Gensler has to be convinced. All that is a phone call. Gary, here's what you're going to do. Yes, sir.
Provisions in place to give them the confidence, to give them that accept.
And by the way, if you really want to know who Gary Gensler is, look at when Representative, the congressman who asked him about his involvement in the Russian dossier. That's Gary Gensler. That guy that was responding like a scared little child, that's who he really is. And that's how he talks. He's their little B-boy, B-word boy.
Of their application. I think the big thing we know is Gensler said, we're not going to do anything there unless we have the exchanges regulated, and Coinbase is not regulated.
But that's my question. Do you think this is going to change their mind? I can't without the clear regulatory authority, and they're not getting a bill through Congress. So now he's just resorted to essentially suing everybody. He's trying to regulate essentially by filing complaints.
Yeah.
I don't see how this changes.
If anybody can get it done, would you bet against BlackRock?
No.
You know, they're the behemoth, right? They're
That's why I'm thinking. I still don't quite get. Yeah. How are they going to change his mind?
I mean, if they can.
Man, these people have no shame. Do you really think that's how this works?
With Coinbase and say, look, you agree to get regulated. What would that do to your business? Imagine institutional investments, just 1% allocation to Coinbase, and what that would mean. We're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people like you that are saying, is this finally the time? Is it going to happen?
We're going to follow this very carefully.
Folks, you're watching a freaking movie. Remember, not more than 2 weeks ago, this a-hole, there's a lot of curse words going on this morning because it's so offensive how conniving all these people are. Not more than 2 weeks ago, Jim Cramer's telling you, get out of crypto. Everything's a fraud. But today, because BlackRock now has followed, now it's legitimate because I've said this for years now. They're going to come, when they come in, they've all been laying the groundwork and buying cheap because they've destroyed the markets. They probably called up Gary and said, look, you're going to scare the crap out of these markets for the next year, and we're going to be scooping it up while you do it. And then at the end of the year, we're going to announce that we're ready. That's how these people play the game. Now, this a-hole comes out and says, understand, I'm not against crypto, and done quite well with it. I'm against bogus crypto outfits that stole your money and wouldn't let you have it back. He's against bogus crypto outfits like this one that he called the next JP Morgan.
JP Morgan margin and average fees per transaction across the industry have declined by 50%. A lot of that is the man, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Right, the man, he said. Now, this Forbes article comes out of nowhere over the last couple of days. A new wave. Major bank reveals a $15 trillion earthquake could be headed for Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, Tron, Solana, and Polygon price. Now that's how you do a title right there, folks. But they're right. That Bitcoin ETF, that's a huge, just, you want a crystal ball? That's a crystal ball that lets you know what's coming, folks. These people were never going to shut this down. Now, this tweet I saw when I was going to have dinner last night, okay? Patrick Byrne, just to give you, I think Patrick Byrne's an attorney, and I know that he was one of the first people ever to call out the Ethereum ICO as being shady. He had a whole write-up. I covered it during ETHgate. He says, you have a victory to look forward to next week. It's not total victory, but in this war, you might think of it as Iwo Jima victory, as an Iwo Jima victory at least. So if you're thinking of doing something stupid, just hold on 72 hours. You'll be glad you did. How about a Ripple victory or Ripple? We've always said it's going to be John Deaton's always said it's going to be most likely a split the baby, a partial win for Ripple, partial win for the SEC. That's how they'd have to do it, right? I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family to just hold on for the next 72 hours. You'll be glad you did. According to him, thanks for listening.